Today, a bit of a change. I decided to do a review on a tool I've been using a little bit of late. It's called the Action Kit. Pretty corny name, and it's made or sold by Amati. It's a multi-purpose tool, but let's have a look and see what it's all about. Okay, the Amati Action Kit. What do we have? You've got a plastic box. You've got a handle. You've got a saw blade. And a couple of utility knife blades. Four brass collets, another section, and a little vise. Now, the reason I wanted this was principally for this part and for this part. And you can buy them separately. You can buy that as an item, you can buy that as an item. But you can buy the whole kit for a couple of euros more. And I thought, well, may as well have the whole thing. So let's get rid of that. Okay, the idea behind the tool is that you have a handle that can be used in various ways with the other attachments that come in the kit. You can make it into a pin vise. You take this section and put it into your handle, tighten it up, and take the top off it. You put a collet in it, one of these collets, and then get your drill bit. Put that into the collet and tighten this down. So the drill bit's held firm. And then of course you have the pin vise. The pin vise can be used for other things too, anything you would like to use the pin vise for, basically. So that's one usage. And the utility knife. You can possibly see there that you've got this outer part of the handle, which is hard plastic of some sort, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 slots in that. Hopefully you can see that. And then inside it is essentially another collet, really, with just one slot across it. And the idea is that if you're using something narrow like this, you just put it inside that brass collet and you align the slots in the collet so that they don't line up with the slots in the black handle. And then tighten it down. And you've now got a utility knife. Okay. Same concept with the wider blade, but with the, oops, that hurt. But with the wider blade, you put it in the slot, but to accommodate the extra width of the blade, you then line that slot up with the slots in the black part of the handle, and again tighten it up, and so that's why you've got the outer slots as well as the inner. The other accessory blade you have is the saw blade, and it, like the wider utility blade, needs to go into the slots of the handle as well as the collet because it's quite large. You can then use it with a great deal of care on cutting smaller, hopefully softer items, because it's a fairly thin, fairly fragile blade. But for last is the reason I wanted it. It's just a simple little thumb screw basically operated vise, which you can screw right out, screw right back in. Obviously designed only for little pieces. It's also designed, as I said, to go into the handle. It could be used independently of the handle. You could just use it, hang on to it. Or you could sit it into your bench vise and convert your bench vise down to something smaller. But I find that having this handle makes it a more useful tool. So you put it in there, tighten it up, and it's held. And then you've got something you can utilise. Now, recently I was using 0.6 by 8mm timber strip for deck planking. And the deck planking had to fit around the stanchions from the frames. So cut it out with your hobby knife as close as you can get it, hopefully smaller than rather than bigger, and then if you put it in here to hold it, you can quite easily file it without, because it holds it, it's only 0.6 mil, but it holds it with a bit of rigidity, even to the point that you can come up here and do the sides. Now if you were trying to hold that by hand and file it, you know, you'd just break it. So this becomes invaluable for a job like that. It can be also used for your photo etch pieces, if you want to do a little bit of folding of your photo etch and you don't have an expensive photo etch folder, like I don't. You can use it for gripping all sorts of small things, even holding little bits and pieces to delicately paint. It's, you know, it's as good as your imagination is, basically. So that's the number one usage of the tool for me. As regards the other factors, I would say the least useful is the saw. The blade is a little thin. I could probably put other blades in it, which would work, but the blade that comes with it is a bit flimsy and you've got to be awfully careful when you're using it. Probably next, the utility knife, just the way it's held. I mean, it works, but it's not as secure as I'd like it. It makes a fairly good drill press. The only thing you don't have is a rotating top. But if I was to do it again, I would just source the two separate items without the kit, because I have got a better saw, I've got better pin vices and better utility knives. But for someone who hasn't got those tools and just starting out and want to try and utilise them in a package that includes it all, I guess this would be fine. Eventually they'll probably move on and buy bigger and better things, but they'll retain this and use it virtually forever. So that's the action kit. Thanks for watching.